Hello and welcome to MAT100 Applied Math. My name is Neil Mitchell and I will be your instructor for this course. You can reach me at neil.mitchell@eac.edu. Anytime you're having a trouble with this course or where we're supposed to be or anything, remember to look at your syllabus. There'll be a key to click. And you want to click that key and see, it has the schedule of what we're doing that week and so on. You can also check your modules to see what's going on. The modules are all timed, so you do have deadlines on those modules to complete your work. Once you start your work, you usually only have to Saturday evening to finish it. Also, your quizzes are timed quizzes, and you only have a certain amount of time to do the quiz and to upload and download it is included in that time. So if you don't meet the time or you don't meet the deadline, it's just automatically a 0 and you can't go back. You can do the quiz anytime during the week, but once done, you cannot go back to that quiz. There's only one shot at it. So that's where we stand. Today, what we're going to talk about is lesson 1.1, 1.3, which is just the basics of math, of whole numbers, adding, subtracting, multiplying, reading numbers. And we're just going to hit some of the highlights of those things and not spend too much time on it, but just to do it. What we want you to try to do is do the problems without a calculator. If you can't, if it's, obviously, I don't know if you're using a calculator on the quiz or not, but you should try to do it without a calculator and use your calculator to double check them and see if you're doing them right. But you want to try to build up speed. These are essential skills that you need, especially with whole numbers, with fractions and whatever, so that you can get better and better at those kind of things. So let's jump right in and take a look at a couple of things. I'm actually going to refer a lot of times to this kind of our preview test. That's the first thing in your book, but if you don't have a textbook, try to follow along as much as possible. You probably will need one eventually through the course. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is talk about writing numbers and reading numbers and so on. So our number system was based on a kind of a simple principle. We used to use Roman numerals and stuff. It was very difficult, had different symbols for different numbers. It was kind of tough. So we came up with this system. We got it from the Arabians, and we basically have three groups here. We have the ones, the tens, and the hundreds. My pen sometimes isn't working so great. So this would be read 3, because there's nothing here, 300. And then we add a 2 here, then it's 320. And if we add a number here, then it's 1. So 321. And that's our group name. But let's try this a little bit more over here. We can add another group to it, and again, it has hundreds, tens, and ones. This group is called your thousands. And then we can add another group, billions, and another group of 3. And this would be your billions, and so on. So it's always hundreds, tens, ones. Hundreds, tens, ones. Hundreds, tens, ones. My pen is not working so great. Hundreds, tens, ones. Okay, so let's put a number in here. Okay, We got our 3, 2, 1. Okay. So if I put a 7 here, the group name is now 1,000, 7,321. And these would be what we call units or whatever they are, cars or people or whatever we're talking about. Add a number in here. Now it's 17,321. Add another number, 517,321. So 517,000. We say the group name. Then our next group. So let's make it a little bit more complicated. 842. We just read those three numbers. Then the group name, millions. 517, group name, 1,321. So altogether it's read as 852,517, I guess it's a 7,321. And that's how we would read that number. And we could write it out in words the same way. Let's see if I can write it out. 842. And then the group name, million. Then we go to the next group, 500. $17 group, 1,000. Maybe you won a lottery and you have to read that big old check that you just got. Let's put a dollar sign in front of that. Let's make it a little bit more interesting now. 300, and then our last group, 321. And our unit name is dollars. So 842,517,000. Notice I separate the groups with commas. $321. So it's good to separate these groups with commas. So it makes it easier to write them. So that's basically how we do it. Okay. And we can also suppose we had this. Let's erase this out a little bit. Well, let me give you a different problem. Suppose I had a number here. Oh, let's say I had it written out. Let's make it even better. Let's say it was written out. Let's take this one in the book. 1 million. Let's call this money though. 1 million. You just won the lottery. You're excited, and you won 1,065,000. And $8. We usually don't put the word and in here because and really means a decimal point, so it should be $1,065,008. So 1 million. Let's take a look at this. Kind of like a hangman type game. We got the dollars here, and then we got the thousands, and then we got the millions. So you had 1 million. You had 65,000, so that goes in here, but we need something for the hundreds, so we'll put a 0. And then we got $8, so that would go all the way over here in the units place, but we don't have any hundreds or tens. So 1 million, 0, we don't want to write just 65. Oops, sir. Make it a little bit nicer so you can read it. And 8. And we want to call it dollars, so we'll put the dollar sign in the front. So $1,065,008. Okay. Another important thing we want to do is rounding. This is probably one of the most important skills. So when we have a number, let's say we have just a small number like 89. Okay, when we round, first of all, we want to know what place we want to round to. So this is the tens place, of course, and this is the ones place. So we want to round this to, they might say, round to nearest tens. They might say something like that. So if we want to round this to the nearest tens, what we're going to do is we look at the number right behind. This is the tens place. We look at the number in the ones place. If the number is a 5, a 6, a 7, an 8, a 9, a big number, then we round this up. If the number is small, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, then we keep it the same. So since this is a big number, we're going to round it up to a 9, and this just becomes a 0. So we want to round it up to whatever place they say, to the nearest 10. Let me give you another one. Let's take this one, 5, 1, 2, 8. Okay, I want to round to the nearest tens. Okay, I want to round this to the nearest 10. 5 stays, 1 stays. Now we're deciding, should this stay a 2 or become a 3? We look at the 8, the number right behind it. This is the place. Let me do this. Let me take this out of here. This is the place we're worried about. And this is the number that's going to determine whether it stays a 2 or becomes a 3. And we look at it and say, round it up, 30. So that's to the tens. Let's put the tens down here. Okay, well, let's take the same number and 5, 1, 2, 8. And let's round this to the, comma helps. Let's round this to the nearest 1,000. So, let's put 1,000. So we look at the 5, that's in the thousands place, but the number right after, we're not worrying about the 8, we're not worrying about the 2. We're worrying about this number right here, this 1. And this one is very, very small. So it says, keep it a 5, make everything else a 0. So we're going to round that to 5,000. So it's always the number behind it. Okay. So that's kind of the object of it. Let's do one more here. Take that same number. Okay. See if you can round this to the nearest hundreds. 100 place. Would the 5 stay? Yes. Would the 1 stay? Well, it depends on this number behind it. And the 2 is saying, just stay. And then the rest becomes 0. So we're just rounding the hundreds place. We're just rounding this place. Either it goes up or it stays the same. Here we were just rounding the thousands place, up or the same. Here we're rounding the tens place, up or the same. So that's kind of the idea. So let me give you another one here. I want to round this number right here. I want you to try it. And we're going to round it, first of all, to the 10,000s place. And then we want to round this number to the hundreds. And they always say kind of the nearest 100, but I'm not going to write all that down. So where's my number? My number is this one, 214,649.59. Okay, so first thing I got to find is the 10,000s place. So I'm going to locate the 10. That's not the 10,000s, that's the thousands. Hundreds, tens, ones. So this is your thousands group, and this is the 10,000s place. So the question is, stay a 1 or become bigger? Well, the 4 is kind of big, but it's got to be a little bit bigger than a 4. So it's going to stay the same, 210,000. Now it says rounded to the nearest hundred. Okay, find the hundreds place, not the 100,000, but just the hundreds. Okay, the number after the 100, 5. 5's a little bit bigger than 4, so we can round this up to, whoops, there, what's big? I don't know what that meant. 214, and we're going to round up the 100 to 7. 214,700. You should practice saying these as you write them. Okay, let's talk a little bit about addition. Okay, addition, again, you're going to practice these, but you might do them on a calculator. The only thing I found that's really hard about adding, when people add numbers together, that sometimes it's hard to keep them in columns. Okay, 1473. I'm going to try this problem. I'm going to add to it 536. I'm going to add to that 875. Well, 8,700, excuse me, 875. Let's try to write it wrong. And I want to add to that 88. So you can see sometimes we're adding numbers, we get a big hurry, we write them down. But the key to doing these problems is can I keep these columns straight? If you have to draw a line through there, well, it's kind of nice. This computer straightens them out for me. Okay, you can get everything done real nice. So now you can add these together. And again, you might want to look over in the book. You gotta have a review of your addition facts. You might be rusty. 8 and 5 is 13. 13 and 6 is 19. 19 and 3, might be using your fingers here, I don't know, 22. Write the 2 down and carry the 2. I usually put it at the top of the column. Okay, 15. Okay, let's do that. 15, 18, 18 and 7, pretty hard one. 25, 2, 27. So you might be rusty. Carry the 2. Hopefully I'm getting it right. So now we're going to add these numbers together. 8 and 5 is 13, 17, 19, carry the 1, 2. Say it, 2,972. Put the comma in there. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little trick I use on sometimes adding these numbers. Let me spread these out a little bit more so you can see the trick. And that might be another thing. When you write the numbers, if you put them so close together, it, especially if you have a lot of numbers, it can get kind of difficult. Some of you write kind of small and numbers are a bunch of it. It's kind of hard. So I'm going to use a method called the tens. I don't always add in the order they're written. Okay. So what I do is I try to find numbers that equal 10. Now, this doesn't quite equal 10. This is a 9, so it's one smaller. But I'm thinking that it's a 10. Okay? And then I'm going to add these two numbers. I know that's 13. So 10 and 13 is 23. But this number was one smaller. It wasn't really a 10. It was only a 9. So I'm going to subtract 1 from that 23 and call it 22. I'm going to put the 2 here and carry the 2. So I'm thinking of this problem as, give me the pen, mess it up. 2, 10 plus 13, 23. Take away 1 in my head, 22. Okay, so now I'm going to add these numbers together. Right here, I see a 10. And right here, I see a 10. Well, it's not really a 10, it's a 9, but 10, 20, 8, take away 1, 27. Carry the 2. That way I didn't have to worry about This one wasn't too hard, but it was still 15 plus 3 is 18, 18 plus 7, it's 25. You're carrying now into the double digits and then 27. This one I'm just looking at it as 10, 28, take away 1, because this was only 9, take away 1, 29. And here, look at this. 2 and 8 makes 10, 19. Carry the 1. Oops, here, let's write down the 9. And of course, 1 and 1 is 2. And I've got my number. So that's how I think of it. It's a faster way. Maybe if you've never tried it this way, maybe if it confuses you, don't do it. But if it helps, maybe this helps just putting lines. But if this confuses you, so I use it on a problem like this, okay? I want to add these up in a hurry. This is 10, 20, 30, take away 1, 29, take away 1, 28, take away 2, 26. 8 plus 9 is 17. 17 plus 9 is 26. But see, that's a hard combination. This way I'm thinking 10, 20, 30, take away, well, you can even put it this way, 1, 1, 2, take away 4. 30, take away 4, 26. So I can add numbers really fast this way, and let's try another one here. 429 and 738. So it might be just a different way of thinking about it. And if you don't like it, don't do it. Simple enough. Here's a 10, but I'm just going to put the 1 there. It's not really 10. It's 1 less. And here's a 10, but it's only 2 less. So this is 20, take away 2. You can do it take away 3 is 17, carry the 1. Now here, this is easy enough. That's going to be 6, and then this is easy enough, 11. So we got our 1167. But when you have a hard combination, maybe you don't remember 17 so well. So 20, take away 3. My thing is, gotta fix that. And we got our answer C, 17. So let's clear this out. Okay, so that's that idea. Try them. If they help, they help. If not, they're not. Okay, next thing we're going to try, and then what you're going to do is some exercises on 14 and 15 in your book. If you have a book, you want to just try these problems by hand. If you can't do them all, you do the first column. If you can't do that much, there's, I don't know if you have a book, but there's something called more practice or your turn. And when you do these your turns or more practice, the advantage to them is the problem has the answer to it. So you can try it and then you can double check your answer immediately to see if you're doing right. Put a little piece of paper over the answers, try the problems, go back to them, and that way you don't have to do all the problems in the exercise set. We don't turn into problems on the exercise set. They're just for practice. Why do we practice? I don't know. Why does a baseball player practice? Why does a basketball player practice? Why does anybody practice? To get faster and get better. If you don't practice, you don't build up your speed and you don't get better. So that's the key to it. Subtraction, let's just go over that real quick. First of all, like addition, when we subtract, numbers have to line up. And when we subtract, we have to be able to have the number on the bottom has to be smaller than the number on top. And if it isn't, then we borrow from the next column, the column that's next to it, in this case the tens, and we make this 17. We borrow 10 units to it. So now it becomes a 17, and now we can subtract. And of course, you might be rusty on those facts, but with a little practice, you get better. So that's how we subtract. And there is no real trick to it. Let's try another one. 71 take away 39. Oh, I can't subtract. I can't say, oh, that's 8. No, can't do that. Borrow, 6. Make this on 11. 2 and 3. Maybe you were one of those kids in school that didn't like your messy paper, so you didn't like doing this to it, but, you know, it happens. Okay, when we try one that's a little bit more complicated, let's try this one, 263. And these are some practices just out of your book. Okay, sorry about that. 263. Take away 127. Oh my gosh, I can't subtract. Borrow. 13. 6. I didn't have much room to put it in. Subtract. Subtract. How do I know if I'm correct? I can add these two numbers together, and they should be 263. I can add them up again. Just kind of jot it down here. 3 carried a 1. 6, 2. So if I add these two numbers together, I'm going to get that top number. So that's a quick way of doing it. By the way, the answer to addition was the sum. This is called the difference. When you subtract, the answer is called the difference. So they might say, find the difference of two numbers. What they're saying is subtract the two numbers. So difference means subtract. Okay, here's another one. Let's make it a little bit easier to see. 426, take away 128. Okay, so I borrow, because I can't subtract, 8. But now I can't subtract because I made this a 1. That's why I crossed it off. It's no longer a 2. So now I have to borrow again. And again, I'm just going to put a 1 in front of there, borrowing 10 units. So 9 from 11 is 2, and 1 from 3 is 2. And again, I could check it by adding it together. It should come up that right answer. Okay, here's a tricky one. And I do it different than a lot of people. This one I look like this way. Okay, subtracting. I can't subtract 5 from 2, right? It's just, but I want to borrow. And maybe you were taught, okay, you try to borrow from the 0, you have nothing there. So you borrow from the 9. Let me do it the long way. And that becomes an 8, and this became a 10. Then you borrow from the 10, and that became a 9, and this became a 12. So you borrowed, created a 10 here, and then that became a 9, and this became a 12. And now you got 7, 3, 4. Okay, I don't do it that way. To me, that's confusing. Let me show you how I do it. Again, if you want to do it this way, that's fine for me. Okay, I have to subtract 5 from the 2, and I can't do it, right? So I don't borrow from the 0. I borrow from 90. And 1 less than 90 is 89, and now I put my 1 here. Much quicker. I don't have to do borrow, borrow, borrow. I just borrow once from 90, and I got a 7. And 6 from 9, let's cross that off. 6 from 9 is 3, and 4 from 8 is 4. And bang, I've got the answer, 437. And again, I can double check it. So much faster way of doing it to me. I don't know, it might be something you want to mess with. Let me try another one of those. Here you have one. Let's make it a real tough one. I don't know, I just made up a problem here. Okay, I want to subtract it. Okay, can't borrow. I look at this number here. 1 less than 9,000 is 8,999. And put the 1 right there. 8,000, I just go to the 9. And now I can subtract. Maybe that's how you've been doing it, which is great. And maybe you haven't ever tried it this way, which is something to do. So there's my answer, 2,659. All right, moving right along. I don't want to keep you guys here forever. Multiplication. Multiplying two numbers, is not always the easiest. Most of us are kind of weak on our tables. It's usually those 9 tables and stuff. Let me tell you about a student I had. One time he was trying to learn the 9, he wanted to play football and he wasn't, he had to pass a test. So the coach asked me if I could give him a test. It was a big game. If I could just make it kind of simple for him. So I said, well, he should know his 9s. So I wrote these numbers down here. And we really needed to win this game. So usually I wouldn't do this, but So the first thing he did is he numbered the problems. And I said, yep, that's right. You got 8 problems. So he worked and he worked and worked. And I said, I can only give you like 3 minutes to do this, 5 minutes at the most. And he could. So time's running out and he's just desperate and he can't figure it out. So he just went 1, 2. He numbered them again upside down. And you know what? He passed the quiz. He got everyone right. Now, that won't work for 8s, but it did work for 9s. Okay, and also I want to show you something. 1 plus 8 is, you guessed it, 9. 2 plus 7 is 9. So when you're doing your 9 tables, and you put 9 times 4 is 32, those numbers aren't going to add up to 9, So you goofed. So 9 times 4 has to be 36 because they have to add up to 9. So that's just a little trick for memorizing the 9s, which a lot of people have a little trouble with, those 9 tables and the 8s. Basically, the ones you have troubles with are the 6s. Probably it's from 6 times 6, 6 times 7, 6 times 8, 6 times 9. The 7s, and the 8s. And find it in 9s. So these are the ones that give you the most trouble. The other ones, maybe you have a little trouble with them, but for the most part, the 4s or something like that, except for 4 times 9 or something like that. But these are the ones that probably give you the most trouble. So what you want to do is concentrate on these problems. So let me put the answers in red here so you can see 9 times 9 is going to be 36. 6 times 7 is 42. By the way, you can play this back as many times as you want. That's why we zoomed them so you can replay if you need. So there's your answer. But see, you knew 6 times 7, so 7 times 6 is the same answer. That's what we call commutative. It has the same answer. 49, 56, I don't have much room here, 63. But 7 times 8, well, we already got 6 times 8, huh? 8 times 6, same thing. 8 times 7, 7 times 8. So those two you already knew. They're the same as these two. So you already knew those. 8 times 8 is 64 and 72. Okay, but now you know 8 times 9 also. So you got 9 times 6, 54. 63, these are added up to 9, 72, same thing here, and 81. Notice another thing, I just thought of it right now. That these always start out one number or less. Huh? There's a 6 and it starts out with a 5. Here's a 7, starts out with a 6. Here's an 8, starts out with a 7. And here's a 9, starts out with an 8. These are 2 numbers less, 4, 5, 6, 7. These should be 3, but they're not. These don't fit the pattern. Okay, but these did a little bit. So kind of not a pattern. Okay, but we're always looking for patterns in math. So you want to concentrate on this. Now, How do we multiply? Let's get busy on this baby. Let's jump into a fairly hard one. Whoops. 67, not a real easy one, times, I don't know, 58. Okay, when we multiply a two-digit number times a two-digit number, we're going to start with the 8. 8 times 7, 56. We're going to write the 6 down and carry the 5. Put that up there. Okay, so that makes it a little confusing because you're doing multiplication and then you're going to do addition. But I like to jot the number down. Okay, 6 times 8 is 48. Okay, we're going to write the, are we going to write the 8 down? No, because we have this 5 up here that we haven't. So now we need 48 and 5, 53. And that's what we're going to write down. So we got the 56, we carried the 5. This is 48 plus the 5. Okay, now we're going to start over again. And we always start by multiplying. The number starts right under the number you're multiplying. Maybe you never noticed that. You could put an X there. Some people put zeros there. You want to hold that space. And now you're going to start under the 5 because you're multiplying by 5. 5 times 7 is 35. And we always want to write the digits number down. So we're going to write the 5, carry the 3. Let's put that up here. Okay. And then 5 times 6 is 30, plus the 3 that we carried. That gets us 33. So 5 times 7, 35. And you want to get a pace. Like I'm going too slow for myself, but 5 times 7 is 35. Carry the 3. If you can carry it in your head, it's even better. And this is 30 plus 3, 33. Now we're going to add up. And you want to write it neat enough so your teacher can read it. Maybe put that comma in there. There you go. Read it. 3,886. You know, practice those reading skills. All right, let's try another one. Let's make it even harder. 649 times, terrible problem, 87. Okay, 6 times 9. You can also use a multiplication tables. I have a multiplication table in the, I think I'm probably going to put it in the announcements or somewhere, and you can look it up. I haven't figured that out yet. Okay, so this is 63. I'm going to keep the 63 there. I'm not. I'm just going to erase it out. 63. Okay, 7 again. 28. Oh, see, I put down the 28, but I don't want to do that. I want to add the 6 to it. So this is going to be 34. Maybe that's where you're making your mistake. Those are up there for a reason. Okay, then 42 plus the 3, 44. 45. Make it a little bit better. Okay, 8 times 9, 72. Going to indent. Put the 2 there, carry the 7. I never did know what to do with those numbers. I guess you had to erase them out. 8 times 4, 32, and 7. That'd be 39. Carry the 3. Finally, 48 and the 3 makes 51. Now, a lot of people do this great, and then they mess up here. They got 3, 6, 4, 5, 5, and they goofed because they're in a hurry and there's not much room. You want to make sure, like when you write this 4 down, you have to carry that 1. But sometimes we're in a hurry, you know, at this point we're all excited and but you want to make sure. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to multiply this out and double check it because I have known to make a mistake. times 87, because I'm just human like anybody else. 560, let's put it on a comma, 56,463. There we go. All right. So I know I did this rapidly on the multiplication, but you want to practice your tables. Page 30, there's kind of a little chart there that would be kind of cool to fill in. Also, multiplying by 10, so let's just talk on that real quick. When you multiply by 10, now I don't really care. You could put the zeros like this, and then now you're going to indent, and you're going to start with the 1. Some people get all mad when you do it this way, and that's fine, you know. Or just remember, if you multiply by 10, it's going to be simply that number with a 0 behind it for the tens place. So it moves it back kind of over a little bit, and we just put the 10 in there. If you multiply by 100, sometimes I write it that way, and then you can just drop your 2 zeros and then the 8 and the 2. A little bit faster way to do it by tens, you know. But if you want to do the, you know, if I was going to multiply by 100, I usually put the big number at the top. So this would be 008, and you're going to indent, and then 002. But just see, it takes more time to do it that way. Okay. What if there's a 0 in front of and one of the numbers? Well, you just have to be a little careful. No real shortcut. 8 times 4 is 32, carry the 3. 8 times 0 is not 8, it's 0 plus 3 is 3. 8 times 0 now is 0, and 8 times 6 is 48. Don't forget, we're going to indent. Start with it. Let's get rid of this 3. That will mark 8. But now we didn't have anything to carry. 0, 0, 12. 2, 1. Carry the 1. 8, 6, 1. Comma. 168,112. Okay, so remember that your tests are timed, that you have a deadline. If you don't meet the deadline, and that's maybe you have 2 tests, 2 quizzes, or I shouldn't say tests, they're quizzes. Maybe you have 2 quizzes in 1 week. You've got to get them in. The deadline is usually Saturday at 11:59 p.m. You can't start these at 11:30 in the evening and figure you're going to finish 2 quizzes and get it all downloaded and then get it in a format to send it back so I can grade it in in a couple of seconds. So you can start the quiz anytime. Your quiz goes Monday through Saturday. You can start on Monday. You can start on Tuesday, Wednesday. You can start on Saturday, but you have to make sure you get it in. All right, I appreciate you watching the video. Stay, let me click this on share. Stay healthy and stay wise.